been to Vanderbilt?
No, I've never played in the arena. I've never watched a game there, so seen it on TV plenty of times, but it's obviously a different deal with having to kind of walk up the sideline away from your bench, the bench on the baseline, so it'll be different. You know, we've got staff members, Petway's obviously been there a bunch, and so we've talked about it a little bit, but just kind of have to figure it out. I mean, the players are still going to have to play on the regular floor like everything else. It'll just be a little bit different in the coaching aspects.
Have you ever thought about why it seems that basketball, more than any other sport, the home advantage seems to be greater?
Yeah, you know what, I have thought about it, because, you know, why do you get such a, even when they're figuring spreads and all that stuff out, like, why is it so much better at home? Personally, I mean, I as a coach, you want your guys to play as hard as they can possibly play to their highest capability every single time out. We call it max effort, like giving max effort every game out. Shouldn't really be affected by who's cheering for or against you. Now, there's obviously some, you know, humans are emotional and there's some emotions involved, so I think that's part of it. Shoot, referees are emotional. I'm guessing maybe they're not supposed to be affected by the crowds, but we're all human, and maybe they are. I don't know why there's supposed to be such a home court advantage in that, but I mean, part of it's you're shooting on the rims you're able to shoot on every single day. That's a little bit of it. So there's probably a little bit of everything, but I did see something out there this past week that home court advantage is the lowest it's ever been in the Ken Pom era. There was an article written on that somewhere, so maybe it's starting to even itself out. I'm not sure.
Can you talk about the positive aspects from the previous wins, previous games that you're planning to take to Vandy?
Yeah, I mean, I think we could have had a letdown from the Auburn to Missouri game pretty easily with how hard we played. You know, we beat Auburn, who was undefeated at the time and fourth in the country, so huge win. Some of our guys says the biggest win they had since they've been here. You know, some of our juniors have been here 3 years now. So to have what maybe was their biggest win, you easily could have fallen off against Missouri. For us to not do that and to still come play with an effort, you easily could have a fall off going to Vanderbilt. You know, they've lost, I believe, 5 in a row now and lost the leading scorer in the SEC, so they're, you know, struggling a little bit. So if we're not mature, we could definitely go up there and not play well and get popped. So I think the fact that we were mature enough to play like we did against Missouri hopefully bears well for going up to Vanderbilt and playing them when they're, you know, maybe struggling a little bit, coming off an 0 for 25 from 3 games. So we know they're going to shoot a lot of threes. We also know they've probably been in the gym shooting nonstop since you go. I mean, if we go 0 for 25, I think our guys would live in the gym till the next game. So we don't anticipate an 0 for 25 performance for sure. We may see their best shooting performance. So I think we know we're going to have to bring a lot to the game to get a win, and I think our guys are mature enough to do it based on the Missouri game.
Like you, they've got a first-year head coach with Jerry, and what are they trying to do offensively, and how do they have to change when Naismith went out?
Yeah, so Jerry, coming from the NBA, I think he's done a really good job. Like with their schematic-wise, they shoot a lot of threes. I mean, even when they didn't hit one the last game, they still took 25 of them. So they're going to space the floor. Now, when Naismith was really scoring it, and obviously he helps space the floor really well and opens it up for them. With him being out, other guys have to step up. They've got some guys that haven't played much that are playing more now. I think schematic-wise, they're still trying to do the same thing. It's just not as good of players doing what they were doing. But I mean, I like what he's doing. I study the NBA a lot. He's got, I stole some actions already that they've used. I think he's got a good mind offensively. He's probably doing the best that he can with what he has right now with all their injuries, and they're going to beat some teams. I mean, I know they're not going to be favored probably the rest of the year out, but they're going to come beat some teams just because of how well they play offensively and space the floor. I think defensively they struggle a little bit just with, you know, their lack of depth. And I mean, when you're playing as many freshmen as he's playing, to me that's where you get affected more than anything, is on the defensive end. A lot of that comes with experience.
You're 1-4 in a row this year. The one win was in Birmingham. What are the common threads between those road losses, and how much is that part of your message this week and trying to get over?
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to compete in the league, you got to win road games. So I think we've played well. I mean, you look at our last 11, we've won 8 of them. The 3 losses are all on the road, but it's by 2 at Penn State after being up 9. Double overtime at Florida after being up 21. you know, and then obviously at Kentucky, but we played well enough had we shot it, you know, that we were in that game late. So I think we played well. We just got to close them. So we got to grow. We talk about continuous growth. The next step is we got to play well and win the games. So, you know, hopefully this is that next step for us.
How much are those environments part of not finishing the game as well as?
You know, that's a good question. I mean, as a coach, you would like for the environment to have little to no effect on your play on the floor. I think the older and more mature we get, the less effect the environment will have. So, but it may have had an effect. I mean, I'm disappointed that it did, if it did, but very well could have. I mean, Florida's got a great crowd. Kentucky's got obviously sellouts all the time and great crowd. And, you know, even just being at Penn State, I think that was our first true road game. So we're getting better every game out, I think. So hopefully we see an improvement here with the road games.
You've been saying since like November you want to be playing your best basketball into February and March. How much room do you think this team has to grow, and what areas do you think you can grow?
Yeah, it's a good point, and we're trying to get better every game. I do think we are getting better. I think defensively is where the next big step will come. If Missouri had shot a normal free throw percentage, that would have been our best points per possession, our best defensive efficiency game of the year. So I think our defense is getting better. You know, I still think we got to get better, more so on defense, rebounding, transition D, and then offensively we've got to get to where we're not turning the ball over and making shots at the same time. So, which we had that going for a minute there, but I think there's just little gradual improvements in a lot of those areas where we just keep getting 1% better every day. Practice habits got to get better. We got to go as hard as we can for whatever time we decide we're going to go and practice. So, I thought today was much better practice. And I think the better practices you have, the better games you're going to have, and our guys got to realize that too. Beetle looked good. He the catapult numbers, he was at the top of all of them in yesterday's practice. I haven't got him from today. So, I mean, he had plenty of energy from only playing 8 minutes in the game. So he let it all out in practice yesterday. I thought he looked great in practice the last 2 days. No, on the back, like nothing. I mean, I think they got it straight that day. He came in for treatment Sunday, and I think he didn't complain at all yesterday about it.
Anything else, Kyle?
How much do you pay attention to bracketology and some of the projections at this time of the year?
Not a ton. I mean, I think it's still too early. I think my guess would be we're not in one right now based on our non-conference schedule. I think we still got a lot of work to do to play ourselves into some of that. And right now, I don't know how much good it would do to tell the guys you're not in. We just got to get better. You know, if we continue to string wins together, get some more wins like the Auburn one, you know, get some more conference wins, beat Case, you know, got to get a road win, like you said. I mean, the Sanford road win technically counts for a road win, but we all know that really wasn't a true road game. So we got to get some true road wins, which go a long ways in all the, you know, the bracketology and all that. So, you know, maybe you start looking at that more in February in a few weeks, but for right now, I think it's almost pointless for us to look at it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is kind of different, like with the floor and where the benches are. But I mean, it's still, like to say, same feet. So we just got to go out and play.
The last 3 games you've been playing pretty well. What adjustments have you been making over these last 3 games?
I've just been continuing to play hard. You know, coach has been challenging me to out-rebound most of the players on the team. So that's what I go out and focus on every night.
You're 1-4 on the road this year. What have been some of the challenges away from this gym, and what do you think you have to do to get over the hump going forward?
Just got to sustain a great effort for 40 minutes, you know, and not have any let-ups on the road, especially on the road, because, I mean, if you let a home team get their momentum going, it's kind of hard to shake back from it. So we just got to sustain a great effort over 40 minutes.
Anything else?
What about block charge? Are you nervous about the way they're calling it sometimes?
No, I'm not really nervous. I mean, I just try to get my body up for the team, and if the ref decides to call it a different way, then I just got to live with it.
You've noticed that, though, that it's different on different nights?
Yeah. But I mean, I just got to keep doing what I'm doing regardless of how the refs calling it. I mean, if I see they're calling it and I take a charge early and they call it a block, I might not take the next charge. So I just go with however the refs calling it.
Any final questions?
What are those communication issues in Memorial, you know, because the sideline, the bench is on the baseline, so what are those communication issues?
Just put more of a responsibility on us to be leaders out there and communicate with each other.
Any other questions? All right.
Thank you.